Hey everybody, this is Kennedy Hawk from the Marvel Champions Monthly Fan Podcast team. I'm starting a new video series called Aspect Acumen. After each pack comes out, I'm going to talk about how deck building changes within an aspect through a unique way that I think you can do deck building. I think within each aspect, there's a ton of little tiny, tight-knit packages that you can include together. Maybe 2 to 3, maybe even 4 cards that combo really well together. You can grab multiple versions of these packages or different combinations of these packages to make decks truly your own. This isn't the only way to do deck building. It's one of the ways that I enjoy doing deck building because I can build these little packages in little tiny mini packs. When I want to build a deck, I can take 2 of these packages and maybe a basic one, smash it together with a hero, and I'm usually pretty close to 40 cards, sometimes a little bit over, sometimes a little bit under, and I have to fill in the gaps. But for the most part, it's a pretty cool way to guarantee some sort of combo within your deck or some sort of coherent theme that gets smashed together with another thing. So I'm going to go through all of the different aspect packages within aggression, or at least the ones that I've identified and what I call them. I'm sure there's a lot of other combinations you could come up with, so feel free to come up with your own combos and different aspect packages and let me know what they are in the comments below. I think it could be a really fun way to do deck building that's a little bit lighter than hemming and hawing over the inclusion of every card. Instead, you pick a couple packages, smash them together, try the deck out. So, without further ado, the first episode of Aspect Acumen, the aggression aspect that came packaged with Wasp. So we are looking at cards all the way up through Wasp's Hero Pack release. Any aggression card in there has been fair game when I was coming up with these little packages. So like I said, what I like to do is look at these 2 to 3 card combos, talk about the combo, and then talk about other combos that they might pair well together with. You might see that some cards are in more than one package, cards like Martial Prowess. Honestly, I should probably put Power of Aggression in a couple more packages, and I might even do that as we're going through here. You can really get a sense of like what to include in your deck depending on what's in that package. So let's get started in this first column over here with stuns and guns. I call this one stuns and guns because it's all about big flashy moves. You're looking at cards like Dropkick, where you could stun the villain and draw cards. Cards like Press the Advantage that let you use that stun as an advantage to draw the card. And a Martial Prowess that helps trigger both of those cards. Generally, if you have like 2 attack cards or an attack card that really advantages itself from Martial Prowess, I would throw it in that package as at least a one of. You don't have to include 3 copies of all these cards. With this case, I would probably include 3 copies of Dropkick, 3 copies of Press the Advantage, 1 Martial Prowess for solo, maybe 2 for multiplayer. So what are some other combinations or sets that this one goes with? One set that I think that this really goes with is the one directly beneath it, counter combo. So for stuns and guns, I'm going to talk about which pairings make sense and why, and then I'll quickly run through all the different packages within aggression, and then we can talk about some of the cool combos you can do. So the reason these two really work well together is because of the way counter combo works. So counter combo is all about taking a villain attack and using that life that the villain takes away from you as a resource. So we're looking at cards like Counter Attack. After you take damage from enemy attack, discard this card, deal damage to enemy equal to the damage you took. We also have cards like You'll Pay for That. After the villain attacks, you remove threat from any scheme, for each damage you took from the attack to a maximum of 5. So let's say Rhino charges at you, he hits you for 5, you hit him back for 5, and you remove 5 threat from his scheme, which is almost like an entire player's worth of threat on that scheme. Pretty cool combo that's like really efficient. One thing that's really cool is you can use toe-to-toe to actually trigger that combo. So if you use toe-to-toe, you can tell the villain to attack you. He does 5 damage to you, you counter-attack to deal 5 back. You also remove 5 threat from the scheme, and then you deal another 5 back to him. So for a total investment of 3 resources and the 3 cards you're playing, you can deal 10 damage, remove 5 threat from the scheme, but you're taking 5 damage as a part of that penalty. So there's a little bit of cost associated with that. The reason I think these two combo well together is since you're taking damage, you're definitely going to need to utilize some stuns to keep yourself alive, just to give yourself time to get the right cards into your hand, or maybe to flip to alter ego form. You want to stun and not have to recover, but come back with your powerful combo. Stun can be really helpful. Another cool thing you can do, maybe you don't have these cards in play yet or not into your hand, but you really want to take advantage of toe-to-toe. If you stun the villain and then use toe-to-toe, toe-to-toe just becomes a 1-cost card that clears stun and deals 5 damage to the villain. Not the best efficient use of stun, But if you want to be attacked because you know you're going to have these cards during the villain phase, it's a good way to clear stun from the villain and allow you to use these cool counter combo cards. So stuns and guns, really fun, really tight set. A little bit on the physical resource side. So when you're looking for sets to combine with, you're going to want to look at things that have a lot of physical resources, or at least a power of aggression to help you kickstart that drop kick kicker bonus. So counter combo, I kind of already talked about that package, but your goal here is to use the villain attacks as resources. So you can trigger villain attacks. You can also use this to clear minions, so it can be a really good combination with a set we'll talk about here next, Minion Abuse. It's trying to use minions to do things to your advantage. So you can use toe-to-toe to make a minion attack you, deal damage to that minion, and get a Hall of Heroes counter. If it's someone like Scorpion, you can have them deal a bunch of damage and then into the fray them later. You can also get minions really low to use with Relentless Assault. Generally, this is just used to combo with Hall of Heroes down here. These other two cards aren't that great for combining with Minion Abuse. So, counter combo, mainly I use this against the villain. I don't really like to use toe-to-toe against the villain. Sometimes I use that for minion control, but I do use it against the villain if I'm doing weird shenanigans with stuns. Alright, moving on to the next aspect package. If there's a card over here further to the left, it's sort of like an optional card, like another card that didn't fit into any other packages, but I think could fit into this one, maybe, if we're lucky. So this next one is Minion Abuse. We're talking about abusing minions in some way to advantage the hero. So cards like Hall of Heroes allow you to defeat the minions and then eventually turn them into card draw. That's really powerful. It makes you want to engage with those villains. It makes you want to attack and defeat those villains. Another card that goes really well with that is Into the Fray. Deal 6 damage to your minion. For each excess point, you're going to remove threat from the scheme. So if you've got Hall of Heroes already out, not only are you removing threat from the scheme, it's basically giving you a resource back in the future. Similar combinations with Relentless Assault. Deal 5 damage to a minion. You're going to use that minion's death to splash more damage onto the villain. It could even be damage that gets her on guard and things like that. And again, it's going to give you another card for later with Hall of Heroes. So the reason I put Tac Team with this one is Tac Team is really good at getting minions to low health. So if you have a minion that has 3 points of health, but you really need to move a lot of threat from the main scheme, use Tac Team, get that guy down to 1 health. Now you use Into the Fray, you're killing the minion and putting 5 back onto the main scheme, or removing 5 threat from the main scheme. Likewise with Relentless Assault, and now it does 4 damage to the villain. So Tac Team is really good at getting minions to that optimal health that you use these cards to the best of their ability. So one thing I'm just going to put in here, I'm just going to slide this guy in here. I think you probably need Power of Aggression if you're running this Minion Abuse kit. The main reason for that is these cards are really expensive, right? Relentless Assault is 2, Into the Fray is 3, Hall of Heroes is 2, Tac Team is 3. None of the cards in this little package cost 1 or less. So if you included 3, 3, 1, and 2, you're looking at 9 cards that trigger Power of Aggression. That's a pretty good ratio just within one small package. So I would probably include Power of Aggression in this one as well, but it depends on your hero's income and things like that. Alright, next I call Minion Trickery. This isn't necessarily just about defeating the minions, although you'll see from cards like Chase Them Down, it is. It's about using the minions in a tricky way. So maybe you pump your attack really high, you kill a minion, and then you ready yourself with Battle Fury. So not only are you clearing a minion, you're also going for the villain's face, or clearing a secondary minion after that. I think Lie in Wait fits into this set for me, just because it's a little bit of trickery, right? You can do this during the villain phase, eliminate that minion before it even becomes a problem. I'm going to put Chase Them Down as well, because I think that those two combo really well. Chase Them Down is another card that probably combines really well with Minion Abuse. These two rows really work well together, even though there's no allies or anything in there. So one really cool thing you can do is this Lie in Wait is considered to be your hero attacking because of the way upgrades work. So if you kill a minion with this upgrade as it comes into play, you're going to be able to chase them down during the villain phase, which is a really cool thing that we don't often get to see because your hero has to be attacking and defeating an enemy. So little weapons runners come into play. You can get rid of them. Hydra bombers, Hydra guards, all sorts of little nuisances that you would normally have to waste your hero activation on. With these two cards can just become a really big boost to your combo potential. I put Get Over Here in this set. I'm not sure if it really fits, but it is one fun way to deal with lie in wait. Again, this is after your hero attacks and defeats a minion. Your hero attacking is from events and upgrades they control. At least that is my interpretation of that. So if my hero plays a preparation to lie in wait, I can then get over here to bring the minion over to me, killing it, readying myself with Battle Fury, even if I had to defend or got exhausted by someone like Claw. So little combinations within the package itself that might pay off big. All right, the next is dump and chump, and you're probably going to see some of these keywords or phrases in multiple aspect Acumen videos. We're going to do another one on protection next week after Quicksilver comes out. So dump and chump is all about getting the cheapest allies in the aspect together, the most efficient aspects or allies you can find within the aspect, and just creating a tight little package for that. I'm not going to lie, when I'm playing an aggression deck, I almost include this dump and chump package every single time I build a deck. So I'm looking at Spider Girl. She costs 2. She has a great ability that can help you deal with all these minions that you're having to deal with as an aggression player. Worst case scenario, she hits something for 2 and chump blocks for you. And that's what these allies are sort of designed to do. Again, with Wasp, do the same thing. You could play as many Lightning Bolt resources as you want. If you just need a blocker for 1 turn, you pay 1 and block with her. If you can afford to, you deal 3 and block with her. Just dump them and chump them. Braun's a little bit different than just dump and chump. You're not just using an Entrance play ability with him, but he is cheap and efficient, so I like to put him in this set. Generally with Braun, I pay 3, I remove 4 threat and deal 4 damage by doing 4 attacks in a row, and then I chump block. Let's think about that. So for 3 resources, it does take 4 turns, but you're going to be able to complete an entire 4 Justice and a little bit between a Haymaker and an Uppercut, and do a chump block, all for 3 resources. 4 Justice normally costs 2, that Haymaker would cost 2, Uppercut's 3, so let's call it 2.5. That's 4.5 resources, plus a chump block, all for the cost of 3. Now, you do have to spread that over multiple turns, so like I said, it's not just dump him on the board and chump with him, but he is a really efficient minion, and that's why I put him in that little setup. All right, next I have minion handlers. These are minions that really want to, these are allies that really want to deal with minions that are in play. So, unfortunately, this doesn't trigger super well with minion abuse, right? Hall of Heroes is after you defeat a minion, I believe. After you defeat a minion, yep. So if Valkyrie comes into play and kills a minion, blows it out of the water, that's not going to count for Hall of Heroes. It is kind of neat that you might be able to use Valkyrie in replace of Tac Team to get minions really low and then into the fray with them, but that's a little bit of a different combination that we're talking about. These are characters that are going to come in, either get a big advantage from having minions out there, and then use them to smack those minions down. So Valkyrie comes into play, hits minions. Tigra, obviously, ultimate minion killer in aggression, right? She can just take out drone after drone after drone. Belongs in this little setup. And then Hercules. This is a little bit of an odd combination because these two are going to be killing minions, and this one wants more in play. I think, generally, I try to get this guy out when I can because he can be a pretty good minion handler himself with his 3 base attack, but might be like the little odd guy out. So if you're combining a bunch of packages and you're slightly over 40, he might be a card you toss out. All right, we made it through column 1. We're going to go through column 2 in the opposite order because we've kind of put all the allies at the bottom. This is kind of an odd one. You might actually not want to use this one a ton, but this is your big allies package. So generally, I'll throw this in there, and I might remove one of the 3 cards. But this is when I really want to count on my allies to like be the focal piece of my deck. So characters like She-Hulk with a ton of honorary Avengers. Character like Sentry also with a ton of honorary Avengers. I mean, Sentry is 8 threat removal and a chump block for 4. That's amazing, even with his drawback. The more honorary Avengers you put on him, the better. I would gladly pay 1 card to remove 2 threat anytime on demand. And you can do that with Sentry using honorary Avenger. Thor, another character kind of high in cost, but can do a ton of stuff, right? So if you pay with a physical resource, she could do up to 11 damage just without any other support over her 4 activations. That's amazing. 11 damage for 4 resources. I mean, Uppercut is 3 for 5, and it's instantaneous. Melee is 3 for 6, spread across 2 targets. You're not getting anything close to as efficient as this unless you're looking at Sentry or She-Hulk. So This is sort of your get my big allies on the board. Maybe my hero is going to be the defender, and I want to use these allies to really control the villain and win the game. All right, next we have ally support. And again, each aspect kind of has a little bit of ally support and like what would you do to support allies that are out there. So for this one, I put in power of aggression because every ally in aggression costs 2 or more. Yes, Wasp costs 0, but power of aggression can make her cost 2 and give her 2 pin counters, so still pretty good. So I think if you're going to really focus on an ally deck, you're going to include 2 of these blocks from the bottom. And you'll probably want to include ally support as well. Boot camp, obviously really important for allies. I think this is really good with the chump and dump sort of package. So you get this out here. So now all these guys that come in, attack 1 to 2 times, and then chump for you, become just that much more effective. I put Hulk in here as well, which is a little bit weird for ally support. I would put Hulk in here not to deal damage. I think to put Hulk in a deck to do that, you have to have a very specific deck. But I put Hulk in here as a defender. So he is going to defend for your hero so that your hero can join your allies on the teams on the terms of attack. He's a really cheap, efficient defender, so that works out pretty well. Enraged, kind of like a maybe in the ally support package. Obviously, Enraged works really well on odd health characters. So with Sentry, you can now do 15 damage over 3 activations instead of over 5 activations. You are going to have to pay an extra resource and the card Enraged itself to do so, but could still be efficient. So maybe include this depending on what allies you have and if it's really going to make sense for you. Really good card if you're playing with a protection player who can heal your allies up, but not necessarily essential. All right, next is big damage events. And I call these big damage events because they do a ton of damage and they might spread damage out in an event form. So we're looking at cards like Melee. You could deal 3 damage to your minion and 3 damage to the villain. Piercing Strike, you want to clear the way for your big damage, so you want to remove that tough status and still get like just a little bit of damage in there. Again, since you're focusing on damage events, this might be like a good package to include this Marvel. You probably want a Martial Prowess. I put Uppercut over here. I don't think Uppercut really fits into a single deck right now. It's just kind of in a weird space where it's a little bit too much for how much damage it does. Yes, it's your win condition. Paying 3 for 5 doesn't feel that great when you can swinging web kick 3 for 8. Within Big and Miss Marvel, I can get this to a 7, but still, I mean, you could play Big Hands for 1 less and it's a 6. So not super useful, but maybe sometime in the future when attack events have more synergy, this is something that I would throw into this little deck here. All right, moving on, we have Big Swings. So this is a deck where you're talking all about weapons, all about swinging those weapons with mean swing and getting your base hero attack really, really high. This little package here is really susceptible to stunned. So if the villain is going to stun you a lot, you're going to have to bring something to prevent that, whether that be cheap allies that chump and absorb those potential stuns, or cards from the basic area that potentially remove those stuns. You're going to want to make sure that you don't get exhausted and stunned because you're going to have really big 8-9 damage swings with your hero using combinations of Skilled Strike, Mean Swing, and Yarnbjorn. This pairs really well with one up here, Hero Flipper, which we'll talk about in a minute, with the Hero Miss Marvel. All right, the next package is Hero Sustain. So this is actually really similar to Big Swings. We've got Skilled Strike again. We've also got Combat Training. These combine really well. They've obviously got an overlapping card. You're really just trying to get your hero base attack really high so you could heal yourself up with Moment of Triumph. This also pairs really well across here with Counter Combo, right? You're taking damage and using it as a resource, so why not include a way to defeat a minion and heal yourself really high to go with it. One sleeper thing you can do with Moment of Triumph. When you attack and defeat a stage of a villain, that is considered defeating an enemy. So if Rhino's got 1 health left and you smack him for 5, you're going to be able to heal 4 damage right before he goes to his next stage and potentially gets more attacks. So cool combo. All right, the last one I'm going to call Hero Flipper. This is when you want to play a hero that flips to alter ego very frequently. So I'm looking at She-Hulk, I'm looking at Black Widow, I'm looking at Miss Marvel, characters like that. Maybe even Ant-Man, someone that flips a lot as a hero. So obviously, include Surprise Attack from Wasp's hero pack. Just essential. 1 cost, deal 3 damage. Great. It's like an efficient haymaker that only happens after you're changing into hero form. if you compare it to physical resource, it just gets that much better, right? And so we're obviously going to include martial prowess with this because that just makes this first surprise attack free. Since you are a character that likes to flip to alter ego a lot, I mean, I guess not in Ant-Man's case, but with the other three, Black Widow, Miss Marvel, and She-Hulk, you will be. I included a copy of Braun. He's just a really cheap, efficient ally that allows you to passively remove threat while you're still pushing your win condition of doing damage. So I think he sort of belongs in this kit for now, but maybe not forever. We'll see. Sorry about that. We're back. So that was the entire thing. These are our sort of hero aspect aggression packages. So lots of different little mini combos you can set up in aggression, or mini themes, whether it be big allies or chump allies, stun or hero sustain. Pick a couple of these packages, combine them together. You don't have to include 3 copies of every card in the package. That doesn't always make sense, but including 1 to 2 of each generally gets the little combo into your deck so you're set up and ready to go. One thing you'll need to combine with this is all the different basic packages you can run. I'm not going to go over that in this video. That'll be another video that comes out later this week. But a lot of times you'll pick 2 to 3 packages from an aspect, 1 to 2 packages from basic, mash those things together and come up with a really cool deck that doesn't take a ton of deck building and thinking, but can still be super deep when you're doing your deck building. So this is one new way, for me at least, that I like to think about deck building, where I think about things in little tight, concise combos, and then seeing how different combinations of those combos can lead to fun ways to play my favorite heroes. Hope you guys liked this video. We're going to do, like I said, after every hero pack or release comes out, I'm going to update the Aspect Acumen packages, at least the packages that I've identified in my mind. So, like I said before, if you can think of any other ones or things that you think I should highlight, leave it in the comments below. I'll be sure to add it to this video the next time we talk about aggression, which sounds like it will be after the Galaxy's Most Wanted release, because Rocket Raccoon comes packaged with aggression. Thanks for tuning in.